Hey everyone, good morning. I'm Sarah Stackhouse with Real News Communications Network, and of course I'm here with Leigh Richardson in our bi-weekly live with the Brain Performance Center, and today we are talking about anxiety, what it means, what you can do to kind of calm it down, if there is even a way, and how someone is feeling when they're having that kind of anxiety. So let's kind of kick it off. Leigh, can you tell us a little bit about what anxiety is?
Well, what is anxiety? And that's a good question because a lot of people come in with depression, and it's quite normal. If you have depression, you'll have some anxiety. And I'll ask them, and they go, well, I don't know. What is it? Well, anxiety is when that body gets stuck in between that fight or that flight mode, or you feel you're in danger. That's kind of the way anxiety is defined. But what does anxiety look like? Because it looks different for everybody. Yeah. Some people, when they're starting to feel that fight or flight mode, they'll start to feel really nauseous in their stomach. And some people, their heart will start pounding so hard, they actually think they're having a heart attack.
Wow.
And 65% of the people that call 911, I'm having a heart attack, they're having a panic attack.
Wow.
Some people get really shaky. Some people get dizzy. Some people, their hands, they'll get really sweaty. Their eyes will dilate. All of those things are a result of what's going on with the autonomic nervous system. And you've got your parasympathetic and your sympathetic. And when that sympathetic kicks in and takes over, that's when that heart starts pounding really fast. Or you get, just sick to your stomach.
Right.
So anxiety, because a lot of times people say, well, it's just all in my head. And it is in your head. But it can also, you can also feel it in your body. And what you see is more of the reaction to the physical symptoms of it.
And you hear sometimes people might say something like, oh, it's just anxiety, get over it, or just think about something different. Is it that simple for people?
No, it's not. And sometimes people will say, well, just don't think those thoughts. And it's not what you think. A lot of times people with anxiety, they'll just be standing there and it'll just flood them. People wake up anxious and don't know why.
Right.
But anxiety is a neurological condition. And it's not something that you can just wish away. I'm just not going to think about that. And there may be some goodness in that. Maybe instead of thinking about that, you can think about more positive things. Use some positive affirmations.
Sure.
But anxiety is real, and it's not something that you can ignore.
Right. And I know you're kind of a big proponent of doing things in a more holistic approach, at least initially. Can you tell us, are there things that you can do at home, or if a loved one has anxiety, are there ways that you can help them?
Well, the first thing you can do is really use your observation skills and see. You can tell when somebody's kind of shutting down and starting to pull away a little bit.
Yeah.
Or you can see when they get up and they pace. They got a little nervous energy going. Or when they say, you know what, I just can't deal with this, and they push back and they socially isolate. So, use your observation skills, and you will be able to detect and tell when somebody, something's not quite right. And there are things that you can do to kind of help soothe yourself and calm yourself. One of my favorite things is listening to music. And, maybe something that's just very, very calm and mellow. Classical music is a great thing to use to help calm you down. I think being aware, I'm going to take 5 minutes and I'm going to work on my breathing. And if you work on your breathing for 5 minutes, it will seem like a long time. But you slow that breath rate down, you slow that heart rate down, and then you create heart rate variability. And that's creating wellness. Even for people with diabetes, if you can get that heart rate to dance with that breath rate, you create coherence, and that creates wellness in the body. So people at home tend to, maybe when they're home, they don't experience anxiety. Work, a lot of times, is the most anxious place for someone to be.
Sure.
People, social situations. Some people only get anxious when they get in a social situation. Well, I can go, but if I go, I really need to have a drink. before I go. And that's okay if you have one. But if you keep drinking when you get there, that can lead to negative, behavior. So think about the situation. And some people, they know what will trigger them. And some people, they have no idea. It just overcomes them.
Right.
It truly does. And I think that if you've never suffered from a little bit of anxiety, it's really hard to understand, well, why can't you just stop that? Why can't you just stop thinking those thoughts? And neurologically, you got a part of the brain, the cingulate gyrus, that keeps that loop looping with those thoughts. So you can't stop it unless you do, unless you do something to stop it.
And that's why I know a lot of people come to you specifically for kind of some of those reasons to work on strengthening the brain, essentially, right?
Absolutely, and getting that brain into a regulated state. I saw a lady today, and I haven't seen her. She's probably done 15 or 16 sessions, but I haven't seen her in like 3 weeks because work gets in the way.
Sure.
And she's like, I'm amazed at how it's held. So you can create change in the brain. Cognitive behavioral therapy is a great thing to help you replace those negative thoughts. Mindfulness, things that you can do on your own, mindfulness, practicing positive affirmations, identifying where those negative thoughts are coming from. All of those things are things that you can do and that will make you feel more in control. And when you feel more in control, you feel more balanced.
Yeah. Absolutely. And some of the, tell me a little bit, and she's closing that door. What she did over there was open that door quickly so that you can hear some of that nice music that she was playing. But some of the things, tell people what it's like when they come in through the door and, is it going under the cap? Is it watching, TV? What is it that they're actually doing when they're sitting here if you're wanting to get something, if they're looking at anxiety?
Well, if they've done the assessment, which we've seen parts of, then they'll do training, and maybe we'll train using LENS, low energy neurofeedback. Because sometimes that brain just gets stuck. It really does. And if the brain is so suppressed that it can't respond to that real low energy neurofeedback, the best thing to do before you train it is to unstick it. And sometimes...
But there's nothing invasive in the head or anything like that, right?
No, it's not. And the energy that we're sending out is very low level. It's less energy than you get when you open that refrigerator and you stick your head in. So it's...
On a hot day, we all do that sometimes.
There you go. So we may train that way. We may do Loretta whole brain training, where you do put a cap on your head and you're watching a movie or a multimedia. And in order for that movie to stay bright, that brain's got to change the way those neurons and dendrites are wiring and firing.
Interesting.
To meet the thresholds that I set. We may do what I call peak performance training, and in that case, it's more focused on the metabolic rate, the blood flow, but when instead of that movie getting gray, that movie just stops. Wow. And your brain has to get the energy going, the blood flow going, to get the movie to play. So there's different approaches. Depends on what's going on in that brain. And always talking about, a little CBT is very helpful, because you got to get out of your head. You got to get those negative thoughts out of your head. And Think Up is a great app. It's positive affirmations. And it's free. Download Think Up, pick your affirmations, practice.
I love that. All right. Well, it's definitely some great advice. Leigh, is there anything else any other questions you frequently get, or anything else you really want people to know?
Well, just that you can fix it. You can change it. You can teach that brain. It can get into a regulated state. And I'm not saying you'll never be anxious again in your life. What I'm saying is the way that you react to something that makes you act anxious is very different. Instead of having a meltdown, maybe you say, okay, that really upsets me, but I'm just going to stop for a second. I'm going to take a few deep breaths. I'm going to get a bottle of water. I'm going to walk out and feel a little sunshine on my face, and then I'm going to let it go. That's what's different. So there's hope and there's help for everybody that has those anxious moments that really interferes with their daily life, because we all get anxious a little bit.
Absolutely.
And sometimes anxiety comes from the best things in life, a wedding, having a baby. But it's how you respond to that anxiety. And if it interferes with your life and your work, and it's making you dysfunctional, it's time to do something about it.
Wonderful. Well, if you need to contact Leigh, of course, we did tag the Brain Performance Center above in the comments. We can also call the Brain Performance Center, right?
You can call 817-500-4863 and schedule a complimentary 30-minute consultation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
All right. Well, Leigh, thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
All right.